Cape Verde's goalkeeper's mom had visa complication and wasn't able to watch her son play in the World Cup. I'm not talking about a ticket. She wasn't able to enter the country, right? She almost couldn't be there for the biggest moment of his life, right? And you know what he did? He showed up anyway and he played the game of his life. You know, Cape Verde is a country of 500,000 people, smaller than most cities, but you know, the first time ever in a World Cup, and they rank 67th in the world, right? I'm just kidding. And they drew against, what was it, Spain, right? Spain, the reigning European champions, you know? Now, this video is not about soccer. I don't really care about much about soccer anymore as much as I did when I was younger. And honestly, I don't think you do either, right? But this is about something that's been bothering me for a long time, something I look at in self-improvement space, and I feel like nobody is actually addressing, because everybody talks about discipline, habits, believing in yourself, and all that stuff. And yet, most of the people I know, most of the people watching this right now are still stuck, right? And I was watching Cape Verde, right, play, and I went, that's it. That's exactly what nobody's talking about. So by the end of this video, I'm going to give you one thing, one shift, okay? And if you actually apply it this week, not think about it, but actually just apply it, something is going to change. I want to be clear about that. But first, I need to show you the real reason Cape Verde did what they did, okay? Because it has nothing to do with talent. It has nothing to do with their beliefs. It's something a lot weirder than that. Here's the thing, right? The self-improvement space, and I'm in it, so I could say this, you know, is obsessed with building you up, right? More confidence, more discipline, stronger identity, bigger reputation, and so forth. And there's nothing wrong with that, but nobody talks about what happens before you build all of that, right? Nobody talks about the phase you're in right now, where you don't have the track record yet, you don't have the results yet, nobody's watching yet. You know what that phase is called in self-improvement content? The struggle phase, the grind phase, the keep going phase, okay? Like, it's just something to survive until the real part starts. But Cape Verde just ran the entire World Cup from that phase, and they were the most dangerous team in the tournament. So I want to ask you something. What if the phase you're trying to escape is actually the most powerful phase you'll ever be in? What if the nothing to lose isn't a weakness? What if it's a weapon? Let me give you an analogy, okay? Imagine two fighters walking into a ring, right? Okay. Fighter A, he's won 12 fights, he's ranked, he's got a following, you know, his whole identity, his Instagram, gym, what he talks about, family dinners, you know, all this stuff. It's being built around the guy, okay? Now, Fighter B, nobody knows his name. He trained in a basement. He drove himself to the fight, no ranking to protect, you know? Who do you think fights more freely? I'm not talking about who will win the fight, but who will play freely. Fighter B isn't thinking about what happens if he loses. He's not managing an image in his head while he's in the ring. He's just fighting, you know? Like Cape Verde walked into every match like Fighter B. No history to uphold, no expectations to carry, no identity on the line. And here's the part that hits different. Most of you watching this are Fighter B right now, you know, unknown, unranked, nobody's watching yet, and you're treating that like it's a problem. And honestly, I've seen this in my own life too, right? A few months ago, around February or March, I think it was, I only had maybe 500-600 subscribers on this channel. My videos were getting like no views, right? Nobody was really watching any of them. And because nobody was watching, I had nothing to protect. So I just started posting like crazy. I was putting out, I think, 4 shorts every single day for almost like 2 months. And I was posting everything. Some of it was useful, some of it was random, you know, and some of it honestly was so silly that I probably wouldn't even post it now, you know. But back then, I wasn't thinking like, does this fit my brand or whatever? I wasn't thinking, what are people going to expect from me? I didn't have an image to maintain. I was just experimenting, posting all of it. And you know, one of those videos ended up getting over 7 million views. And then another one, I think, had over 59,000 views or something. And maybe within 2 weeks, 2 to 4 weeks, I went from having, I guess, 600 subscribers or so to over 6,000. But the interesting part is that only happened because I was willing to post before I looked polished, before I had a clear reputation or having something to lose. And even now, with my long videos you're watching right now, most of them might get maybe 10, 20 views. And weirdly, I see that as an advantage because right now I can practice. I can say wrong things, I can put my mic however I want. I can experiment with how I express myself. I can share videos or ideas before I've perfected them. Nobody is expecting me to be some finished product yet. So instead of treating this phase like it doesn't matter, I'm using it. Because one day, if a lot more people are watching, I'm going to be grateful I learned how to speak freely when almost nobody was watching me. Now here's where it gets real. The reason talented people underperform, and I want to be clear because this is the part nobody, I guess, says out loud. It's not a lack of talent or a laziness thing or even a fear of failure. It's fear of identity collapse. Uruguay, I don't know how to pronounce their country properly, but they came into the World Cup with a century of history. Elite players in European leagues. I used to watch them a lot and used to be a tiny fan of them. But then what happens? They crashed out. You know why? Because every decision, every risk, every play got filtered through one question. Does this protect who we've always been? The cage doesn't look like a cage when you build it yourself, right? You think you're being smart, strategic, whatever, but really you're just protecting an identity that isn't even working anymore. Here's the metaphor I keep coming back to. How a tree grows inside a greenhouse never fully developed because it's protected from wind. But wind is exactly what makes roots go deeper. The resistance is the development. Most people are greenhouse trees, they're safe, protected, sheltered from the, exact friction that would make them even stronger. And the greenhouse isn't your circumstance. It's not your environment. It's not your past. It's the version of yourself you keep protecting, okay? Here's the thing that nobody in this space will actually say, and that's the most dangerous version of you, the freest version of you exists right now. Before the algorithm decides who you are, before the people around you lock in their story about you, before you've got a reputation to maintain and expectations to meet, right now, you could do anything. You could try anything, you could build anything, be anything. And most people spend this entire phase trying to escape it as fast as possible. Like the unknown is the waiting room before the real life starts or something, But Cape Verde didn't rush the moment, they lived in it. Every match was just a match, not the legacy, not the history, just, what can we do right now with what we have against whoever's in front of us, And this is the shift. The unknown isn't the waiting room. The unknown is the arena. And I've lived this in a completely different part of my life too. When I was around 22 or so, I started going to networking events, and some of them, had maybe 10 people or so, and some had hundreds. And when I first was going, to these networking events, nobody knew who I was. I had like no reputation. I didn't even know really like how to explain what I did to anyone anyway. And honestly, I barely knew how to talk to people in those environments at all, And I used to have so much fear and anxiety just leaving the house that sometimes I would literally throw up like several times, and I know that's embarrassing, but that's how scared I was. But when I got to these events, I had nothing to protect. These people didn't already have an image of me, they didn't know who I had been before I walked into the room. So sometimes I would literally ask people like, hey, what am I supposed to be asking you? Or how do these events work? And that's almost sounds ridiculous now, but I was serious. I didn't know. And because I was willing to look inexperienced, people actually helped me. They gave me advice. I tried it. I messed it up badly. Then I came back, tried it again, and slowly I got better. Not because I suddenly became confident or anything. It's just I got better because I gave myself permission to be bad in front of people, And they didn't even know me yet, so it didn't even matter. And eventually, guess what? Something completely flipped. Like, people started knowing who I was at different events. They started talking about me. They started referring their friends, family members, and business associates to me. And I became known for being good at talking to people and making them feel welcome. But the reason I care so much about making new people feel welcome was because I remember what it felt like to walk in the room myself and wonder, whether I belong there or no. The thing I thought made me weak became the thing that made me valuable. And none of that would have happened if I had tried to protect an image of someone who already had it all figured out. I became that person because I was willing to walk in as a nobody first, all right? So I said, I'd give you one thing. So here it is. Most people walk around with an invisible list in their hand, okay? And on that list is like everything they can do, every risk they can take, I guess every path they can try, right? And because of what it would say to other people about them, right? Like, if I quit my job, people will think I can't handle it. Or if I started the channel and nobody watches, they'll know I was delusional. Or if the business fails, my family will say they were right about me, And you're not stuck because you don't have enough talent. You're stuck because you're protecting, I guess, the version of you or version of yourself that isn't even getting you anywhere, And Cape Verde had no version to protect, so they played free. Here's the exercise, and I want you to do this today, not in a week or so. Just do it today, okay? I want you to identify one decision you've been sitting on for months, one move you keep, I guess, coming back to and then putting down, and ask yourself honestly, am I doing this because it's actually wrong for me or because I'm scared of what it would say about me? That's it. One decision, one honest answer, because if the only thing keeping you in place is the image of yourself you're protecting, that's not wisdom. That's a cage. And here's the thing about cages, right? Nobody put you in it, which means only you can walk out. I want to hear from you about this one, okay? So drop a comment below. What's the one move I guess you've been sitting on because of what it would say about you? Just type it, don't overthink it, okay? Because I read every single one, and sometimes just putting it in writing, saying it out loud for the first time is the first step to actually doing something about it. And if you want to talk about your specific situation, like, you want to talk about what you're actually doing, what you're actually good at, what you're doing now, all that stuff, right? Just send me a DM on Instagram. I have the links below. Just send me a message, saying uh, nothing to lose, and share about your story. And I read all the messages, okay? And if this hit different for you, I guess, and these are the kind of conversations you've been looking for, real talk, no fluff, and the parts of self-improvement most people completely skip, then click right here and subscribe, because I'm building this channel for people who know they're capable of more but feel like nobody ever gave them the full map. And there's one more part of this that you need to understand. Cape Verde showed us what can happen when you have nothing to protect, but the players who actually make it onto a World Cup field understand something that most of us were never taught growing up. And without it, you can work hard, stay disciplined, and still never get to where you want to, you could, are capable of getting to. And I break that down exactly in this video here, so click here and watch it. I'll see you there.